let's do this. Good evening and welcome to the last meeting of this calendar year. For those of you in the audience who may not have attended one of these hearings recently, please let me share with you our normal procedures. Staff will introduce each item for consideration. If you'd like to speak on an item, if you're the applicant, you don't have to do this, but if you're not the applicant, there's a form out in the lobby. If you'd fill that out and indicate whether you're for or against the item under consideration, and then give it to the clerk to my left. The applicant and the applicant supporters will be heard first. Those in opposition to the request will be heard next. And then the applicant, if necessary, will be given a chance for rebuttal. Comments should be restricted to pertinent information regarding the agenda item under discussion. We don't get into conversations about homeowners associations or who's nice, who's naughty, or whatever. If you are an individual, you'll have 3 minutes to share your thoughts. If you represent a group or an organization, you'll have 6 minutes. Speakers should move closer to the podium when their item is being presented by staff. And speakers should identify themselves clearly on the record as to their name and address. Each speaker should be given respectful and courteous attention. And don't be surprised, but the board may ask questions of you or the applicant or anybody else. Information presented at the public hearing will be kept as part of the public record. If you have things that are on a digital device, we just ask that before the end of the evening if you share a copy of that with staff. I'll then ask, once everything is finished, I'll close the floor to input, and we'll ask the board for a motion. Once a motion's been made and seconded, we will then discuss the matter if necessary, and following board discussion, a vote will be taken. During voting, board members who do not cast a vote will be considered to have voted in favor of the item. Any person who disagrees with the decision of this board may appeal to the Board of County Commissioners, and you must do so within 15 days of tonight's meeting. And after the meeting tonight, staff can help you out with that process. So having said that, item number 1, please.
Good evening. For the record, Angie Gates. Item number 1 is a request for 1, a side street north setback variance from 5 feet to 0 feet for a fence, and 2, a side yard west setback variance from 7.5 feet to 7.5 feet for a shed in the R1A Single Family Dwelling District in the Paradise Point 3rd Section subdivision located at 1518 Balmy Beach Drive. The subject property is a corner lot and considered to have 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Balmy Beach Drive, and the unimproved Camellia Lane street side is where the variance is being sought for the fence. The existing shed is 100 square feet and encroaches 2 feet into the required side yard west setback, and the existing privacy fence encroaches 5 feet into the required side street setback. On October 7th, 2024, a building code violation, case number 24-274, was issued for the privacy fence and shed for unpermitted construction without the required permits, resulting in the necessity for this variance. 1 letter of support was received via email, and 1 letter of opposition was received via email after the agenda was printed, and they were placed on the dais for your viewing this evening prior to the meeting. There have not been any prior variances for this subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff?
Yes. Do you know how the building inspector came to know of the violation in the first place?
I do not.
Mr. Wright?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
The thing that makes this a corner lot on the northern edge there, is that a platted road or?
It is a platted road. It's unimproved.
Okay. So it hasn't been vacated or anything?
It hasn't been vacated, and there haven't been any, per traffic engineering, there aren't any plans to cut that road through.
Gotcha. And this is maybe an unfair question. The applicant had said that the shed was built before the house was purchased. Do we have any way of confirming that?
I did not research that part, Kathy.
And I didn't ask you beforehand, so yeah.
No, that's
yeah,
okay.
fair.
I'm on it.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Kathy, I
is-
saw Kathy's fingers over there.
You guys didn't read my mind, geez. Is the applicant here then?
Yes.
Come on down, please. Over to the podium. Yes, ma'am? If you just share with us your name and address and anything else you'd like to share.
Leticia Lopez, 1518 Bambi Beach Drive, Apopka, Florida 32703.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, about the shed, it was there. I purchased that home almost 4 years ago, and it was already there. And about the fence, the company that built it said it wasn't on my premises, and they're not in business now, so
The fence company's out of business?
they moved to another, I think they're in Ocala right now.
How convenient.
More business over there, maybe. So, and that's what I can say.
All right, gentlemen, any questions? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, well,
Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in support of this matter? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this? Seeing none, we'll close the floor. Gentlemen, your pleasure. There he is.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve.
Motion approved from Mr. Wright. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, enjoy.
Item number 2 is a request for 1, a side yard north setback variance from 10 feet to 8 feet for a shed, and 2, a side yard north setback variance from 50 feet to 26.5 feet for a carport, and 3, a side yard south setback variance from 50 feet to 22 feet, and 4, a front yard setback variance from 100 feet to 47.5 feet for a gazebo in the A1 Agricultural District, located at 3571 North County Road 426.
I'm going to wait just a quick second for the judge
Sure.
to get himself set up here.
He's sprinting to his seat as we speak.
Did the snow slow you down?
It was a failure of the property and had to meet the mechanic and collect the rent at the same time. The traffic's horrible, like the jacket.
Thank you, sir.
The batteries included?
Always.
Chairman.
Anyone have a question for staff?
Chairman,
Ma'am?
just Deputy County Attorney Naseberger, just for the record, let the record reflect that Mr. Bravo has arrived at approximately 6:08 PM.
So noted, thank you. All right, any questions for staff?
And reading through our report, there's several code violations on this one as well.
I don't
Yeah.
think staff was.
I wasn't finished with the
complete
staff
her-
report.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
That's what I thought,
We
but I just
needed
want to make sure, so.
Yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
okay.
listening well, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So I'll go ahead and start over. I wasn't very far into it anyway. So.
Thought something was missing.
Item number 2 is a request for several variances. The first variance is for a side yard north setback variance from 10 feet to 8 feet for a shed. And the second variance is for a side yard north setback variance from 50 feet to 26.5 feet for a carport. The third variance is for a side street south setback variance from 50 feet to 22 feet. And the fourth variance is for a front yard setback variance from 100 feet to 47.5 feet for a gazebo in the A1 Agricultural District, located at 3571 North County Road 426. The shed is 120 square feet and encroaches 2 feet into the required side yard north setback and is being used for storage. The carport is 455 square feet and encroaches 23.5 feet into the required side yard north setback and is being used for agricultural purposes. The gazebo is approximately 250 square feet and encroaches 52.5 feet and the required front yard setback and 22 feet into the required side street south setback and is being used for agricultural purposes also. A building code violation, case number 24-172, was issued for the unpermitted construction of all 3 structures, resulting in the necessity of this variance. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Now then, any questions for staff?
Yes. Maybe I should ask this of the homeowner, but how exactly does one use a gazebo for agricultural purposes?
What they use it for if they store something under it that is for animals, livestock, or something that they use to run their business with.
Hodowns. Any other questions for staff? Is this property in the rural area?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes, it's in Geneva.
A1 agricultural.
All right, is the applicant here? Do you want to, you don't have to, but would you like to share anything? Please, come on down. And just for the record, if you'd please give us your name and address.
Yes. Hello, hi everyone. My name is Juana Olazabal, and I am in 3571 North County Road, Geneva. I have my business there too as well. It's a plant nursery. So the gazebo and the carport we use to store the fertilizers and all the things we use for the plants production.
Gotcha. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I guess I'm trying to gain a little understanding as to why all of these were built without trying to pull a permit for any of this.
Yes, I know, like, I wasn't aware really of how things work here. I moved like recently to Geneva 3 years ago. I'm from Peru, and things work very differently there, so
Do you,
I really-
and I'm not being, and I don't mean to be,
yeah,
not trying to be rude. You say you run a business.
yes.
Do you run your business without a license?
No, I have a license.
So you understand that there is a process
Yes.
when you do something like this, that you have to go through a process with the county or the city, whoever you're with,
I know
to build these things.
we did it before, knowing all that stuff, and then things happened with the violations, and now we are trying to work everything to get all the permits. We already got the fence permit and everything. I'm trying to do the things right.
So, and again, I apologize, I'm switch staff real quick. So for the purposes of what we're looking at, it's really just for the approval, denial of the variances associated to this. It has nothing to do with them having to go through and permit the structure. They still have to go through that process?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm normally, a little bit more good with this kind of thing after the facts, but this is quite a lot. And I'm concerned that,
Yes, we are still working on getting those violations solved and getting the permits, that all the permits that we need. I've been working since I got the violations in July and coming to the county every month to try to solve these. I've been working with Megan and been coming like very, very often. So I'm trying to solve this really. And I'm sure like I will get these permits hopefully soon.
For the-
So,
our attorney president, just so I'm clear, by approving or denying whatever decision the board makes tonight, is there a timeline? That I'm just concerned that there's a lot of things here that we're going to say yes or no to, and that, that whether or not they follow through, they didn't go through the permitting process, whether they actually follow through. How do we kind of ensure that or back that up?
So I think the mechanism to do that's already in place because they already have an existing code enforcement violation. So if they don't get these rectified within the time period that the code, I don't know if it's been brought to hearing yet and they've been given a time frame for compliance, or if the code officer is waiting to see if they're consistently moving forward with getting permits and in connection with the county, the code officers will sometimes not bring it to hearing yet to see if they can get them into compliance, being the ultimate goal. If not, if they don't come in compliance, or if you deny this today, then they'll move it to hearing, and then there'll be a compliance date set, and then it'll go through that. So that's really, they're already in a process where the county has a hook. I'll also state this, and this is just side information. I believe the property was purchased in July 2023. If they are running a bona fide plant, a nursery operation, that could qualify for an agricultural tax classification, but those can't be, those are typically not considered by the property appraiser until the business has been established for a year. So that would put us July into the middle of this year. The soonest they could apply for that classification would be January 1. And if that classification is ultimately approved, then these farm buildings wouldn't have required permits, right? So if there had been one on the property and they took over a nursery and they kept the tax classification, but in this case, it sounds like they're maybe working on that. I'm just giving you that side bar to say that it is an agricultural use and what they're using it for seems to be consistent with that. So this is really just a variance location of structures question.
And again, I apologize for all these questions, but should the decision of the board be to approve the variances, but they don't get the permits, they don't follow through,
Right.
the variance will always stay in place, correct, at that point? I mean, there's no,
Well-
they don't go away because they didn't get permitted for the.
So you could add a condition to your variance approval that says, we're approving this variance on the condition that the permits are pulled within 1
That's
year
what
of
I was
this
looking for.
approval. Or whatever
No, that-
time frame you want to do.
You just stated exactly
But
what
that
I was
is-
going for, so thank you.
Right, that is absolutely within your purview to be able to do
So,
that.
and now to follow up on something else you had, the ag portion that you were talking about, that they probably wouldn't have to do all this. Is this something, and no offense, can they just drag their feet on not doing the stuff and then the ag?
Oh, there is absolutely, let me make this clear.
Okay.
There is
There's
no.
one path for us forward.
There is no, we don't have anything to do with the ag classification. That is completely up to the property appraiser. Not many of them get approved. You have to actually be up, operational, show receipts. I mean, it's very, you have to be operating a bona fide farm, nursery, livestock, whatever. So that is separate and apart. Just giving as background information, if there was a question in your minds why this was an agricultural use, why they weren't just allowed to put these non-residential buildings up, that's why they don't have the classification yet. But if they were to, not ever get that, it doesn't matter, that's separate and apart. We don't consider that for our code enforcement violations that at this point you've already violated because you don't have it. So this will move forward.
Okay, I was looking at it, I just didn't want, if they decide not to, we deny all approval.
Yeah.
Or they don't follow through with the building permit issues and they just kind of wait their time and get the other side of it where they don't need it anymore and it makes our stuff go away. That's kind of what I
Right.
was looking at. Is that a possibility?
I think if you put, the time frame on it as far as pulling the building permits and getting through, I would probably suggest that you give a time frame to pull the building permits and have them issued and approved, your certificate of completion completed by a certain time. Because then, sometimes I've seen where boards have put conditions on and say, hey, you have to pull permits within this amount of time, but you don't have to bring them to completion. And so, looking at the condition, it really needs to be, you need to pull permits and get your certificate of completion done within this certain period of time.
Is there a reasonable amount of time?
That is not a question that I can answer from a legal perspective. I don't know, if these are standard sheds or carports that came with plans already done,
Yeah.
maybe quicker. Who knows if there needs to be engineering done.
Yeah, applicant has indicated that they've started the process. If we were to put a time limit on it, 6 months, 12 months, I'm not sure, but, and they aren't able to do that in that period of time, does that mean the item comes back to us at that point?
It depends on the condition. You could say, we can approve for 6 months, you have to be through completion, or staff you can say the planning director can approve extensions if the applicant has shown that they are consistently working towards closing out those permits.
Yeah, I don't want to handicap anybody, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
want
don't-
to just throw something out.
That's
in
another
space.
level, like bringing it back, noticing it, it's another level of cost and work on staff's part, especially if they're working towards compliance.
Okay, thank you for all this.
Sorry, I would like to add something. For the gazebo and the carport, I gave already everything that is required. We are only waiting on the variance. And with that, I will present that and move forward with permit. And for the gazebo, I hired already an architect because they were asking for the how the base was done. So he's working on that, and I present those plans and then move forward with the variance as well.
And honestly, I appreciate that good faith, effort to continue to do that. I'm just, again, it bothers me that this many structures or items were constructed without permit, so, thank you, sir.
Just one more thing, just to update, Kathy just checked the building permit status, and the permits are all in, they're in plan review, and it's waiting for, we're stopped because of the variance approval. So the plans are in, and if she's got an architect and have the plans in, that's probably substantially, the time frame is going to be sooner rather than later on those.
Thank you.
That's good to hear.
Thank you, Mr.
Any
Chair.
other questions? Any other questions?
Sorry, I took up all your space, apologize.
That's why we're here. Yeah, that's good to know. All right, no other questions? All right, thank you, ma'am, for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in support of the matter? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the matter? Seeing none, gentlemen, your pleasure.
Mr. Chair,
Sir?
motion to approve
Yes, sir?
on the condition that all of the items on the code enforcement list are permitted through completion, and completion of a certification of completion. Not that they're being built and they're already completed, but that our permitting process is through completion. And that I'd like to see that done, I know the permits are in place, but at least a timeline of 6 months. And based on the conversations that we had, that if that 6 months can't be met, then at least allow the planning director to, provide an extension for the applicant. And I don't want it to stop them, but that they have to continue. So I know that the process is continuing. That makes sense. And I apologize if that was a muddle of words.
Do you want the extension to be for another 6 months?
I would say 6 months extension, yes. Thank you for that.
Madam Clerk, do you think you've got that so you can put that all together for the, okay, good.
If I understand correctly, you're saying we're going to continue this matter for 6 months.
Yes,
No,
sir.
no, I'm saying that my motion is to approve the variances as requested, but that the violations that are being shown on the code violation for the structures that were built, they have to go through permit, through completion. They have to be permitted, accepted by the county, certified, and then that has to be done in 6 months. If they can't do it in 6 months, the planning director would allow them to give an extension of an additional 6 months.
But our approval stands
Yes,
regardless of what happens.
yeah.
That's the only objection I would have. But once we don't have a choice of giving it conditionally upon these other things happening, or do you know?
I don't think we can, I think we have to give
Yea or
an answer to
nay.
this application.
Yea or nay?
You can, so I think what would address that is if at the end of your motion, you add that if it's not completed with that period of time, the variance approval will terminate or expire.
Unless staff thinks a good faith effort is being made.
Well, it's basically going to be like for 12 months, because staff can do 1 6-month extension.
Does that work for you?
Well, the only concern I have is that if we give the variance to the property, regardless if she's successful with what she's doing, either by failing to do what she do or they fail her, but the changes are going to stay with the property.
They will not with
Oh,
this
these changes
condition.
tonight won't stay?
It will expire if the condition that Mr. Wright is,
Oh, in that case, then,
is
okay.
say, if you add that to your motion.
That's to the motion now.
Yes, and I would like to add that to the motion that I made, that at the end of the 6 months, we'll allow a 6-month extension. After the extension, the variances will,
Approval will expire
approval will expire.
if the condition's not met.
Thank you. If the
Yeah.
conditions aren't met. Thank you for putting those words in my mouth. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's my job.
But that answers my question. too,
Sometimes.
because
That'll satisfy your
My answer
concerns?
was no, but with the way the motion is being proposed, it could be yes.
Okay.
So having said all of that, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. And we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Congrats. That motion usually took longer than our entire meeting.
But we got it right. All right, so enjoy. If you have questions about what we just discussed and the condition, staff can explain it to you after the meeting. All right. Number 3, please.
Good evening. For the record, Hillary Payton, Planning and Development. Item number 3 is a variance request for 1386 Swinton Court, located in the estuary at St. John's subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback variance from 20 feet to 10.5 feet for a screen room addition in the gateway at St. John's planned development. The request is to construct a 1,022 square foot screen room addition encroaching 9.5 feet into the 20-foot rear yard setback. The rear of the property abuts a landscape buffer and open space tract owned by the estuary St. John's Homeowners Association. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant here? Come on up. And just please, whomever is going to speak, please share with us your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Girish Behra, residing at 1386 Swinton City, Sanford, 32771. Just want to,
No, please go ahead.
just want to set up the screen room so that I can spend more time. It's on the west side, so in the evenings, especially during summer, we would like to spend more time outside. That's why we are requesting for the rear setback.
I got you. Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant?
So you're not building a pool enclosure?
No.
Okay. That's what I thought it might be.
Any other questions? Have you chatted with your neighbors about this?
Yes,
And what were their thoughts?
they're actually waiting for my approval too, so that they can also request for
Yeah.
approval, so they're not, they don't have
Thank you for
issues.
giving us more business.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. There's a gentleman behind you. Is there anything you want to share?
Yes.
But please first give us your name and address.
Sure. Daniel Hoffman, Outdoor Designs, 474 Osprey Lake Circle, Chuliota, Florida, 32766. So they have applied for the permits. We're a licensed contractor. We have everything ready to go. Just need approval. And I have the survey, if you want to see that.
I think that's in our packet,
Okay.
but thank you.
Oh, yeah, right there.
There we go. Beautiful. Last call, gentlemen. Any questions? Seeing none, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve, sir.
We have a motion approved from Mr. Wright. We have a second from the judge. Those in favor? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Next.
Item number 4 is a variance request for 213 Montego Inlet Boulevard, located in the Shadow Bay subdivision. The request is for a normal high water line setback variance from 30 feet to 7 feet for a swimming pool in the R1A zoning district. The request is to construct a 14-foot by 28-foot swimming pool encroaching 23 feet into the 30-foot normal high water line setback. The property abuts a natural canal on Lake Brantley. The Shadow Bay Homeowners Association has approved the swimming pool. 2 letters of support have been received from both adjacent neighbors. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff?
Yes. 2 questions. First, it's my understanding that the definition of canal is that it is an artificial channel. So what is so different about this one that it's a natural canal?
According to our Natural Resources Officer, this one is a natural canal, naturally made.
All right. I might need to have a chat with this natural resources officer then. Second question, the purpose of the setback of 30 feet from the normal high water elevation of the lake, what is the purpose of that? What was the intent behind that?
Properties are supposed to have a water front yard setback, essentially, to keep distance, and to give visual for neighbors.
Okay, so that 30 feet is for all structures, not specifically for
Right.
pools?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? this may not be a fair question. Does staff feel like this has been vetted to the point where we're not going to have issues of erosion, of this falling off at the end of the lot, or
I believe
water intrusion?
there's a seawall, thank you.
Okay. Well, those never fall. And I'm teasing. All right, thank you, ma'am. Is the applicant here?
Can I, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes,
Chair.
I'm sorry.
I apologize, I just want to ask a couple questions too. The aerial that we're looking at right now, the residence next door, is that a pool in the back?
That's correct.
Was that one also?
That one was built in 1991. That one does appear to be closer. I believe the rules were different back then. I was unable to find permits for that one or several of the others around it, but that doesn't mean that there were permits pulled. It just could have been
That's
too
fine.
old.
I was just, you answered the question whether or not we've already gone through this process for that one, so.
Yes.
The second question is, on the survey that I'm looking at, or the site plan, however you want to look at it, there's a couple notes on there, it's repeated twice, says, see separate letter from FDEP that supersedes the NHWL requirement.
Yeah, I think I included that letter in the
I
package.
apologize if I.
Yes.
You did.
It's page
If I did drive by
74.
on it, apologize. Is there anything that we should be aware of in that?
It's been a minute since I read it, but I did bring it to our natural resources officer, and she said she understood it. However, she was disagreeing with it, I guess, and believed that it was a naturally made canal.
So her, in this case, her disagreement, or, you know, the whatever, I apologize, I can't think of the word, their finding of this, it is in a difference to our code that requires the setback from the normal high water line.
When I read this letter, it was probably a month ago, and it said something basically about, if I recall, that it wasn't natural. Hold on a second, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
If I may, Chairman, this
Please.
is Nasa Borkert for the record. So, you know, the state's determination is obviously determinative under state law and what they require from their permitting perspective. The county's natural resources director has made a different determination. I don't know if she has different historical knowledge of the area or what that was, but that is what's going to be determinative here as far as how our code is applied.
Okay, and the reason I was asking, obviously, is that, you know, it's been repeated twice on this site plan that says it supersedes it, and I'm trying to find out why it supersedes it, or if it even does, so.
That, I don't know that it supersedes it to the extent that when state law is applied, they're going to not apply state regulations. It's not determinative of, hey, we've said this, so now you have to make all your steps that you take not compliant with your own ordinances. That doesn't supersede from that respect.
Thank you.
And just my thoughts, and ultimately, if you disagree also, though, is as we have a quasi-judicial hearing going on, we should be reluctant to consider any hearsay testimony. You know, we do not, at least if not yet, we haven't heard testimony from an expert contradicting this yet. So just a thought. Okay to call the applicant?
It felt like I interrupted you for something.
No other questions, thank you.
Love having engineers on the board. Love it. All right, sir, come on down,
Remember, I'm
please.
PE challenged.
Could you share with us your name and address, please?
Yes, good evening, Matt Oberding, 213 Monaco Inlet Boulevard, and we want to put in a pool.
Or just keep backing it up and go just right into the canal, let it be natural waters and...
No, just what's shown there. And it, you know, I think the idea came up when looking around in the neighborhood with the proximity of the other pools to the water.
Questions, gentlemen? Your thoughts, there's some concern, you probably heard some of the back and forth. Could you share anything to address concerns of people who might be thinking this is, or members of the board who might be thinking this is a little too close to the water?
Yeah, so in looking at the Google Maps aerial, I think there was an attachment that I included. There's numerous other properties in the neighborhood that appear to be closer to the water than our proposed pool location. And in addition, we do have a fully permitted set of drawings that were engineered and submitted with the retaining wall that was discussed. And the holdup is when the variance issue came up.
Makes sense. Gentlemen, questions? All
Mr.
right.
Chair, Mr.
Sure,
Chair. Sorry. Just one question. I know the letter from the DEP is addressed to you. Did you request the letter? I mean, just give me some background on
Yep.
where that came from.
Yep, so the letter actually came from a previous construction project on the home, and they needed the natural high water level elevation. And I couldn't seem to get it from anybody at the county, because when you look at the map for the lake, it does not include the canal. So I reached out to the state, and that was the response that the state gave me.
Okay, thank you.
Just trying to establish the elevation of that natural high water
I was just
level.
trying to figure out where it came from, and
Yep.
you answered.
Does that make sense?
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yes.
Yep.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in support of the matter? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the matter? Seeing none, gentlemen, your pleasure.
Mr. Chair,
Sir,
motion to approve.
we have a motion to approve. We have a second. We have a second from the judge. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, enjoy your pool.
I'm not opposed.
You were opposed?
I'm not opposed, it was a late eye.
Okay.
Doing all the work tonight.
And our last item of the year.
I'll get the next one.
Item number 5 is a variance request for 916 Mimosa Drive, located in the Lake Mill Shore subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 30 feet to 6 feet for an accessory structure in the R1A zoning district. The request is to construct a 660 square foot, 22 foot by 30 foot accessory structure encroaching 24 feet into the rear yard setback. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, questions for staff? All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? Before you, I'm sorry, Ms. Payne, quick question. Is this in the rural area also?
I don't think so, no.
Just a little bit west of that? Okay, gotcha. Thank you, ma'am. All right, sir, anything you want to share with us? All right. Of course, please share your name and address too, please.
Good evening, my name is Wesley Arnis. I'm at 916 Mimosa Drive, Chuliota, 32765, or 32766, sorry. Just looking to build a shed. We recently moved from Oviedo out to Chuliota, and we have two little ones with one on the way, so just looking to store some stuff, not inside the house.
Storage is important, yes. Gentlemen, questions? Gotcha. Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience to speak in support of this matter? Anyone to speak in opposition to the matter? Seeing none, your pleasure.
Mr. Chair,
Sir,
move to approve.
motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second from the judge. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, enjoy. And best wishes on the third one. Goodness. All right, I think the last thing, do we
Must be my
have
perfect game.
minutes? All right, my bad. I'll have to mea culpa and say I did not read them, but someone else who did, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, sir.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. We have a second. Second from the judge. Those in favor? All right,
Aye.
it passes.
Aye.
I heard those quiet eyes. Yeah. All right, unless anything y'all want to add, we are adjourned for the year.
Chairman,
Oh,
before you
I'm sorry.
adjourn.
Yes, ma'am.
We have an appeal of the planning manager's decision in which the Board of Adjustment needs to set a time to hear it during the public hearing. We would like to request January 27th to bring that forward to the BOA.
Yeah, works for me. Yeah, it's just our normal meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Any reason not to?
No.
All right, there we go.
So we would have this at the beginning of the program, and then we would move on with our normal agenda items?
Yes.
Okay. We've had that once before.
Yes.
All right.
Is it the same one?
No.
Thank
Are we set for the 23rd of December or the,
No, this is our only meeting.
This is our only meeting.
no, we, oh, okay.
Yes, sir. We're done for the year after
The
this.
family made plans on that night and I saw the conflict yesterday.
Unless you're wanting to get out of it, I mean, you can just say, oh, we're gonna meet.
Yeah, just tell them we have a meeting and you can leave.
They're counting on my check. By the way, how's your health?
Very good. Thank you. Well, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
All right.
Happy holidays, happy new year. Thank you so much.